Hello, 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 and welcome to another Sunday evening on Uncensored Conversation with Elevated Not Tolerated. And I am super excited about this phenomenal young man that I have the pleasure of having on the show tonight. So let me get my disclaimers out there to you. For those of you who are watching for the first time, you are with Uncensored Conversation, and I'm your hostess, Victoria Holland. Tonight, we're going to talk to this man who is going to empower and embrace all of America. Um, I ran across his story, and I tell you, it grabbed me, it shook me, it made me more aware that more people need to know what is going on in this season, and that to have someone who can talk to us straight from the heart, straight from the hood, straight from the book, straight from everywhere, all walks of it, is my good friend Christopher the Life Willars in the house on tonight. I am so excited to have you with me tonight, my good friend. How are you doing today?
I'm good, and thank you for having me. I'm good. As I tell her, I'm always tired, but I'm blessed. I'm good.
I know that's right. I said this earlier to some people, my sister and a few other people. Those of you that are coming in, come on in. Make sure you share, care, like, and invite somebody else to join us on tonight. But I said myself, I'm a little bit tired, but I wouldn't have missed this opportunity to have this conversation. And I think it's going to not only Christopher to enlighten us. My theme for 23 is time for us to be empowered, embraced, and educated, to be elevated and not tolerated.
Yeah, I agree.
And so I think your journey and your story is going to do just that.
Let's wait. Yeah, let's see.
I know it. So, Christopher, I know a little bit about your story, and so to those of you that are coming in, we're going to be talking about tonight, moving from one journey of one aspect of being in the system, if you will, coming out of the system, what it looks like with our mental health, and how that impacts us all on a different level. And my good friend tonight, Christopher, has an amazing story. And Christopher, I read it, but I said, you know what? I love people to introduce themselves. I love people to tell who you are, what your generalized story is, and then we're gonna take it from there. We're just gonna jump into it after we get there. How about that?
I got you. I guess I like the sped up version. First, I introduce myself. My name is, as she said, Christopher Life Willars. Um, Content creator, The 100 TV, which focuses on prisoner rights, mental health, advocacy, those things. Where we first started going viral on TikTok, and just getting that content, that narrative out there. And I'm also the principal of a vocational school here in Tucker, Georgia, Lasting Layers of Beauty Institute, which boasts a 100% graduation rate. And we just had 15 graduates at our first graduation this year.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so that's who I am today. You rewind to 2003, and I was sentenced to 144 years in prison. So I'm actually not supposed to be here right now, at least in this conversation. Um, so I'll rewind one more time, and then I'll just give you, in increments, I guess.
Great.
Born and raised, I'm a Chicago guy, Chicago kid. Grew up. I had two good parents, but it just it didn't work out, right? Sometimes that happens. Stayed with mama. Mama was hardworking, single Black woman, walk in the snow to get to work, make sure we got a roof over our head. It might not have presents at Christmas time, but guess what? We got what we need, right? My father was Mexican. He was there as much as he could be. Like I said, it didn't work out, but same time he taught me some things about being a man, the best that he could. I grew up in a household where I had parents that told me what to do, even though eventually they got divorced. But over time, if mama working, the financial situation, becoming less and less, what it was at one time with both parents being in the household. We went from living in a house to a townhouse to an apartment to, a rough area in the city. Now you combine that with my mother working sometimes two jobs. I'm a young man, I'm 12, 13, 14. When I'm outside of school, I'm running around the blocks. She can't watch me and be at work at the same time, right? So I excelled at school growing up. I always got good grades, but I like to explore. I like to be good at everything. So I was intrigued by the streets, and I was 1 foot in, 1 foot out. I would get into some trouble here and there, get into fights, not nothing too out the ordinary. Um, Eventually ended up going to the military at 17, enlisted in the United States Air Force during 9/11 when all that stuff happened. But yet and still, I was still 1 foot in, 1 foot out. When I wasn't on base, I would be off base or somewhere where I could go party, chill, whatever. Eventually, to speed up, at 19, I ended up moving to Virginia. And with an older family member of mine, a cousin, a couple of buddies of his, one night they asked me for a ride. They said they needed to get some money. They told me they were going to commit a robbery. I agreed to be the driver because they told me they would be using BB guns, nobody would be hurt. And my logic was, well, there's no bullets, so nobody would get killed.
Wow.
We
Wow.
went, yeah, we went. I never went into establishment, never touched any gun, anything like that. Came back out, but I do understand. Though anybody wasn't hurt physically, mentally and emotionally, those effects, trauma is real, right? So I look at that. But eventually, my those guys would get caught. One thing led to another. I ended up, getting a warrant for my arrest, being arrested and charged with 6 counts of robbery, 6 counts of use of firearms, 6 counts of conspiracy. Because in Virginia, one incident, it's not robbery isn't based off the incident, it's based off the number of individuals in the incident.
Wow.
Yeah. So here I am, never been in trouble prior to that, decided to drive my cousin and his friends up the street. And for about 30 seconds of bad decisions, I was facing at multiple life sentences, 6 multiple life sentences in
Wow.
2 different jurisdictions. Yeah. And that's, yeah.
Crystal, I want you to pause right there for just a brief moment because one of the things that when I was reading your story, if you will, and what got me attached was when you said you were going to be writing your book. And I hope that is still in the works because that's something I think is going to really be impactful. Not only, because I'm a person who from the outside, you've been on the inside of the prisons, but looking at different shows and different things like that, having your story as a part of a directory, if you will, for those that's on the inside may even be a more impactful thing, where they can read your story from being on the inside and how it happened. But one of the things that when I was reading through your material and the things that attracted me, even to your show, was that, like you said just now, one bad decision, one decision to be helpful to somebody else turned your life around almost and caused you to have a different story and different outlook and a great outcome, most definitely. But when you think back to that very moment, because I know we have some people that are watching from a distance that have been in the system, if you will, and one of the things that they say is, if I had a second chance to think, can from your experience, can you say, if that's when you were thinking I'm doing somebody good in a sense, that if you had a different choice, what would have been the impact that would have made you made that different choice? Now looking back on it,
That's actually not a simple question. It is a simple question to most
right?
people, but for me, it's not.
Okay,
Um,
help us get to that point,
yeah,
because
I mean,
I think that's true across the board.
yeah, for me, it's simple. What I did was wrong. I shouldn't have took that ride. But in hindsight, I wouldn't be where I'm at today, and I wouldn't be helping who I am today. And while I was incarcerated, I helped countless individuals. So me being where I'm at, with my belief and all that. Um, God doesn't test us, but He allows us to go through tests, and He allows
Sure.
us to make decisions. And I made a decision, and when you start down the path, He'll take your test or your trial, and He'll turn it into a testimony. So,
Come now.
you know, yeah, I shouldn't have been in that car, but if I didn't get in that car, I don't know that I'd be able to have the impact that I did today.
And I like to think about it like this one. And I'm listening to you, and I just want to come out there and hug you and say, yes, I'm glad you took this and made it a testimony. Because when I'm listening to you, it is truly, the scripture talks about, he don't put no more in us than we can bear, right? And sometimes people don't understand that. But in your case, you actually are living that. He put something on your shoulder that you could handle, and you turned it around to help other people understand the process and understand what it's like to be. And when I hear, and I know you're going to touch on it a little bit, but when I read your bio and you said you had 144 years that you were supposed to have.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And God blessed you that you only spent 19 of them.
Yeah, I got they suspended all but 19, ended
Oh,
up serving 16 years, 11 months. Yeah.
wow.
Mm-hmm.
So tell us a little bit about that. Once you were, put into prison for those 144 years plus, and you came out with 16. Tell
Mm-hmm.
us what that was for you as a young Black man, mixed. I'm going to use this phrase, and you understand me. A young man mixed
Mm-hmm.
with different components of nationality. What
Mm-hmm.
was that like for you walking in at that age?
Well, I first want to speak to the courtroom. A lot of times, we think about the prison, but if anybody's
Please.
watching this, I want to talk about what it was like to be a young person of color in the courtroom. Um, a lot of us, we don't have paid lawyers. We commit crimes. We end up going in there with public defenders like I did. I wasn't offered a plea because I didn't cooperate.
Wow.
So I just want to illustrate. My lawyer, he came to me. He said, "I can give you all I can do is get you 35 years," and that's what he said to me. And I said, "I can't do that." He said, "Well, you need to tell the judge something." And as a 19-year-old man, young man, I had to make a grown man decision. I had to make the decision of how much life I'd be willing to sacrifice to make them happy in order to come home once again. And I told my public defender that I wanted to come home before I was 40. And he said, "You sure?" And he said, "Yeah." I said, "Yeah." And he went out there, and whatever conversation he had, I ended up going out there, standing in front of the judge, and he ended up sentencing me to 19 years. And I wanted to touch on that real quick because I think
Please do. Please do.
that's yeah, a lot of people don't understand what goes on in the courtroom. The prison is one thing, but the courtroom, that's where it's gonna make you or break you. And every day there's black and brown kids going into that courtroom, 16 to 21 years old, mothers that a lot of times, unfortunately, been raising them by themselves, undereducated when it comes to the legal system. And here they are, they're fighting for their life with a lawyer that's not getting paid. So I just wanted to definitely speak on that. It's not a game, and when you lose your life or any time that you fought, you can't get that back.
Christopher, can I stop you for 1 minute? Because I want you to go back into the courtroom.
Yeah.
Because definitely that's where the ball starts rolling, right? And I'm asking as I'm also,
Mm-hmm.
that's why the ball, like you said, starts rolling. You have a public defender versus a paid lawyer,
Mm-hmm.
and so that some public defender, because you don't have to worry about paying for it. But sometimes no money ain't good money either. But
All
good
the
money
time,
ain't, you know what I'm saying? And
all the
so
time, that's a bad situation in that.
it's a bad situation. So talk to my people, the listeners right now, and how you can help them understand how important it is not to take that part of it, not to take the public defender, if you will, if you can do better. Talk about that place right there, how people can know the difference.
I mean, I mean, for me, where I'm from, we know public defenders. You don't want none. We know that. Like that's just common. Just being honest, anybody that deals with the legal system should know that that shouldn't be have to be explained at all. Anything that's given to you by a system that's already corrupt, that's not a tool that you can use for your freedom, and that's just the God's honest truth. You
That's
should
true.
always want to get your own lawyer, your own tools. But at the same time, I get those questions, and those questions scare me because it's a reminder of how lost people are. We commit crimes, we put ourselves at risk, and we break laws that we really don't understand.
Wow.
And our families don't understand. And they don't even know how to assist properly to defend us. And I get questions, and for a guy like me that's having a conversation with a young man in North Carolina that's doing life plus 30 because his mother and grandmother simply don't know. Or if I'm thinking about my brother, we got 188,000 signatures on the governor's desk, Jefferson Elliott in Virginia, but we still haven't gotten them out yet. And me knowing how serious this is me, this is why I do these conversations and just urge anybody that's hearing, start researching, know the laws before you get out there and start breaking them, because they're designed to set you in a place of failure.
See, now you really talking some good. Well, you've been talking good stuff the whole time, but that's the thing. Think about your cost of what you're gonna have to pay for before you get into it.
Yeah, definitely.
And then if you choose, because we all have choices, but if we choose that, know that you need to be able to have someone that's going to defend your opinion, your rights, your true rights, not the other people's rights, but your rights, the true rights, that can speak for you. So when you got through this, when you went to court, and did you have an opportunity to speak on your own behalf?
I did, but the reason I didn't get the opportunity at a plea agreement is because I turned down the opportunity to cooperate. They gave me the opportunity to snitch on my cousin, my co-defendants. I turned it down, and actually all three of them accepted the opportunity. So, I don't really talk about this part, but when you don't cooperate and the other guys do, at that point your word it's useless anyways. And it's a deep story, man. That's all I'm gonna say. But I was convicted. I definitely did time that I shouldn't have done. I'm gonna put it like that.
And please forgive me. Any part of this story that you don't want to share, you get.
Oh, no.
I got you, my brother. Because
I don't mind sharing. It's just I don't want to go all the way.
We don't want you to go all the way back.
Yeah.
I guess some of the questions that I have about the process of the system, if you will, we hear so much, we see so much. We see the don't think I'm being funny. We see the Law and Order on TV. We see I don't know, Chicago PD. We see all of these shows, and people tend to base their knowledge on what they see on these shows, right? But when you have the opportunity to talk to somebody who really knows the truth, it's an opportunity to make people grow. It's make them to understand. And so please, whatever you share or do not want to, it's all right with me. It's just that like I said, your story just grabbed me. I mean, just to hear the little things I heard you talking about, I was like, dang, this brother has got a story that's going to help not only men of color, but men in general, not women of color, but women in general understand this process. And the thing is, it's not just you're 16 and above. It's, we have young guys and girls going into the system now at 12 and 13 years old behind stuff that they don't really understand. We have parents making decisions based on things that we don't understand about the system. And not only that, but when you're talking, then when you throw in those components of physical and mental health, we need help so that we can keep our people outside the bars.
Yeah,
that's what we need. Right. And your story to me was just that. I'm thankful that you spent those lesser years so that you could educate me as a Black woman. What do I need to tell my grandsons that are 11, 6, and 5? What do I
Yeah.
need to tell them in this system? What do I need to
Yeah.
tell my other fellow males and females about this system from your perspective, how you've helped us understand this growth? And you
Yeah.
even talk about mental health and how that all plays into it.
Yeah. Mental health. I'm big, man. Mental health for trauma is trauma. If you're African American, you're Hispanic, if you grew up in the hood, if you grew up, wherever, and not necessarily limited to, because again, listen, the experience affects all communities, all ages. It doesn't matter if you're Caucasian, Black, brown, it
Doesn't
doesn't
matter.
matter. But certain demographics of people have experienced trauma at a younger age. And I'm gonna speak about myself growing up in Chicago. I seen my first friend get killed in the first grade, right? So
Wow.
what happens in our communities, in the African American, Hispanic community, a lot of times it's not addressed. Again, because the older generations, they just don't know. It's not because they're bad parents or bad they just don't know. We're just now getting into a generation where we're actually talking about mental illness and addressing it. Back in the day, it was swept under the rug because that's what grandma and great grandma and everybody else did.
It was a
Um,
secret.
but,
Mm-hmm.
but what happens? These traumas have continued to progress, and this is why you see killings going up and violence going up. This is why you're seeing SA crimes and certain crimes on the increase now in 2023. It's not something that just happened in the course of a year. This is trauma that's been deep rooted for decades. It's just manifesting because it's never been checked and addressed. So I'm passionate about mental health because of the traumas I experienced. I'm passionate because I grew up with an older mother that I love to death, and she loves me, but she just didn't know. And as a 38-year-old man going to a psych evaluation because I had concerns after my younger brother killed himself, I got diagnosed with type 1 bipolar. And one of the conversations was, if you had got diagnosed when you were younger, you might not have ever got incarcerated. And this is
Wow.
why it's important we start having these conversations and stop thinking things are taboo in our community. And this is why I run around doing conversations and interviews, and because people see me in a certain way, but I'm also the guy, I'm brave enough to say, hey, I battle certain things too. And that's why we're able to connect at the school, and we're able to connect in conversations, and the platform's growing because we're not scared. We put our stuff out there. And I say we because it's me, but I got a team with me.
And I am thankful that I'm not gonna cry today. I get emotional because when I'm hearing you say, because it's so true. We people across the board, we don't want to talk about certain things. We don't want to talk about mental health. We don't want to talk about what our forefathers didn't know, and then we're learning the hard way what it is. We don't want to talk about those things. We
Right.
still want to keep it behind behind the curtain. We don't want to seem like we ain't got it together, because on the outside we look like we got it together, but we don't
Right.
want anybody behind the scenes to know that we ain't got it together. But
Right.
it's those very things that's behind the scenes is what's keeping us behind the scene, and
Mhm.
it needs to come to the forefront. We need somebody. We need more of you that have gone through some things. I've been through some things. We need some more of us on the forefront now, talking from the real aspect of it. I mean, you're talking about coming from getting charged for 144 years for a simple, if you will, a simple mistake. But
Mhm.
then now they're telling you, if you had to acknowledge that you had some mental issues, if you will, and we're just going to use that phrase because that's how you used it. But how did we know all of that? Who gave us the signal? Was there something that somebody saw in you but never spoke of? Was there a person in the school system that saw something about you but never said anything? Was there something that you felt and you tried to express and nobody understood it. So now that you are at that place where you can help us understand it. Now at that place, I talk about domestic violence because that's something that I know something about. You know what I'm saying? My dad used to say this: if he couldn't talk about drug dealing because he never was a drug dealer, but he could talk about being a drunk, right? Because he used to drink. So
Yeah.
that's the thing. We got to start putting people in positions and in conversations like this where I may not be an expert or I may not have no knowledge, but you do. And there's somebody sitting on the other side of this camera that you and I are on that has a son or a daughter that's in the system, and we missed the point of how to ask the right questions. We missed asking the judge we missed telling the judge the right thing. Because I hear sometimes that people say, well, I was in the interrogation room and they were pushing me to say stuff. Well, pushing you to say stuff didn't help you. It hurt you. So how do we counteract that? What do we do? Because there's people out there hurting right now who's looking at you tonight and saying, man, if I could only call him, which I know you guys can reach out to him by means of YouTube and all of those great things. But if they had somebody like you that they could talk to, if they had somebody that could generate the direction in the way that they should go, what would they do? How would they react differently? And so listening to you, you're going in for it. You're going to be the advocate for not only the prisoners, but the rights of people that may be going into the prison system, people who know that they have some issues that they need to address, but you're helping us understand before you get on that side of the river. And I thank you for being that guy. I thank you for being that young man who came out of the system and you took on you're an entrepreneur. You have your own business. You're producing other people to do the right thing. Because after they come out of prison, they still need help.
Yeah.
We can't leave them.
Yeah. Uh-oh. I got you. I can hear you
got
now.
me? Okay.
Yeah.
So I want you to advance this a little bit, and then we may have to go back. But what after you spent those years in prison, and I know from what you've said previously that while you were there, you helped other people understand this, that area too. But what was it like, and what could we do to help other people when they come out? That they went in on a technicality, even if you want to say. What is it like coming out? Because now you got to face a whole nother society.
Yeah. I got locked up in 2003 before social media, before Facebook, before any of that. Before I could drink legally, before I could, I was 19, so I could still, I was driving, I was in the military, but I didn't come home till 2020, right? So first, I just want to say, while I was incarcerated, I had to work my way down from a level 4 maximum security, and
explain that to us. Explain what that means.
It's basically it. I mean, it's one of the highest levels you can go to. Usually, if you're a young man or you're a gang member or you have a violent offense, such as I did, you get sent to one of 3 particular camps, and all of them are violent and hostile. 24 hours you're under the gun, which means the minute the second you walk outside of your cell, you stand on a line, you wait until they tell you can proceed into the pod. But at all times, there's a guard with a shotgun, standing over you. That from the time you're in a dorm, whether you're talking on the phone to your family, trying to take a shower, playing cards, eating, to walking on the boulevard, to being in a child hall, eating your meal, you got a gun on you at all times because it's violent. And to put things, I just want to say the guns really didn't matter because the guys didn't care.
Wow.
I went there again, never been in trouble before, never been in the system, sent straight there from the jail through receiving. And I was literally in a pod with a bunch of lifers and gang members and two known on record serial killers at the time. Just standing in the pod, watching TV, trying to strike up small conversation. Guys were running into other guys' cells, rob them. Guys were getting stabbed. Rapings would occur. It was just a violent, hostile environment. I lost friends up there, not just on that institution, but other institutions that took their own lives because it was that bad. They couldn't deal with the fact they had to do years in a hostile environment like that.
So you said you worked your way out of that.
Mm-hmm.
How, can you? I know you can't go into explicits, but what is that like? I mean, you were thrown in the lion's den, and now you got to come out the lion's den,
Yeah, I was.
and you've never been in trouble.
No, never been in trouble. But I mean, so even at the jail, I was one of those guys all my life. I've always had influence. Um, Even in elementary school, I was the guy. I was picked first or second at gym class, and in school, I was the prom king, or stuff like that. But so even in jail, in any environment, I didn't have a hard time connecting with people. I used my intelligence, and that's not to say that guys that are locked up are ignorant. It's just that a lot of times they're undereducated. That's why we're in the streets. And I was abnormal in that environment. I shouldn't have been in there. Reason a lot of people are incarcerated is because they're undereducated and their opportunities are limited. But I was somebody that could have did better, and I didn't. So I would help guys write letters and all that. If they had questions about things in law, because I stayed in the law library because I was trying to get home. I was always studious. I would do research for them. And I built respect amongst these guys. And then guys would click up around me. But at the time when I was young, I was a hothead, right? So we were fighting. We were robbing sometimes. We were doing some things we shouldn't have been doing. But my brother Jefferson Ellie, I call him my brother, just like an old penitentiary movie. A guy that was slightly older than me comes to me one day, and he basically he asked me a question. He just asked me, "Hey man, you know who you are?" In so many words, and started having conversation. He challenged the way I think or thought. Taught me about value, respect, a lot of things I didn't necessarily learn prior to going into prison. And this guy, Jefferson Ellie, he's still incarcerated, still with time on his sentence. But he took the time to kind of, plant some positive seeds. So I transitioned from, being that negative guy with influence to being a positive guy. And then I ended up, because of that, giving opportunities behind those walls that a lot of guys weren't, where I was able to basically facilitate programs and talk to different colleges with a buddy of mine, Freddie Williams, and some other guys, and have some conversations and create events and try to break some stereotypes and help with the reentry programs, even while we were incarcerated.
Wow.
So, yeah. So the transition, it occurred while I was incarcerated.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. And then I would, while incarcerated, in the midst of that, I was somebody that was still connected to the outside. I was the vice chair of a nonprofit with a buddy of mine, Freddie Williams, and Nehemiah Empowerment Project. And that's how I met my wife, via a business call. She was supposed to help us from the outside as a rep. And she challenged me 2 times in the first phone call, prayed for me by the end, and I knew she was going to be my wife. And
oh wow.
yeah.
Wow.
So, and then that's why I just want to mention that part, because for me, coming home after 17 years, I had what a lot of people don't. I had a great support system. I had my mother, she's still healthy, running around. I had my wife. I had who I had out here. But I also came home right into a pandemic. So
wow. Yeah. So Christopher, I want to take a quick break because I want to come back, because I was, I first of all, let me tell you this. I was excited when I saw the pictures of you and your wife. I was just amazed. The love that you can see, and that's what always gets me, the love that you can see between two people that have been on a journey. and to look and to see her expression at your graduation. Because see, I caught a glimpse of that. Yeah, I've been stalking you, if
Right.
you will. But I was watching how she looked at you with that admiration, that love of understanding to the depths, right? And like you said, it's good to have a good support system on the outside. And please give my love to the beautiful queen that she is, because I know that she is super proud to have a man like you standing in the gap for other
Yeah.
people. And I appreciate her so much for sharing you with us, because she could have said no, my baby home and I'm not letting the rest of y'all have him. But she's sharing this journey even on the outside with you. And I am super excited about what God is doing for you and your program. But I want to take a few minute break, because I want to come back, and I want to kind of, if you can, touch more on you said you started your programs while you were in prison with the reform. And I know there's a lot of people on the outside that when they get out, they don't know how to go to somebody to ask for help. That's one thing. And then choosing how to choose. Um, I guess because I've talked to a couple of people that said their biggest challenge when they came out was knowing how to get back in society the right way. And then you have the people that they have been in prison so long that they don't know, they don't want to commit another crime, but the only place they feel safe was in the prison. So I want you to talk to those people, how to know how to develop in the reform, and how to talk yourself from getting back into the system. If we can take this a few minute break, and we'll be right back. Okay.
All right. Sounds good.
Thank you. If you have that somebody out there that needs to watch us tonight, please put them on. Let them tell them to get on here. My friend Christopher is here. He's going to talk us through some things, and we're going to be right back. So you don't want to miss any of this.
Telling me to dance, taking a chance. Taking a chance. Telling me to dance, taking a chance.
All right, we all good. We're gonna wait for our guest to come back. There he is, the man of the hour. You know, Crystal, there are many people out there that get Grammy Awards and they get Stellar Awards and all of those kinds of accolades. And a good friend of mine, Lisa Duff Washington, she's watching out there. She did something a couple of months ago called the Hidden Treasure Awards that's associated with her group. I don't know what I can call it tonight for me, but if I could give you an award, it would be the Man About the Business Award. And again, I want to say thank you for sharing your journey with us tonight, and sharing your journey with other men and women across the globe. And I truly believe you have a global program and a global testimony that's going to empower other people. It's just an honor. To those of you that are maybe just now tuning in, and we're sorry if you just now tuning in, you have to watch the replay, because my friend Christopher has been telling us some good stuff, and he's been educating and empowering us. And this is what we need in this season. And so we're coming back. We're talking about the journey now. The journey, the journey now that we want to talk about a little bit with Christopher is he started some programs with prison reform while he was in prison. Now, Christopher, that right there to me is amazing, because I've heard of people doing it outside, but I never heard anybody, I don't think, starting it while they were on the inside. So that's amazing to me. Can you kind of talk about that and tell people what that reform really looks like? Because a lot of people don't understand it. I don't even understand the whole process. So could you kind of talk to us? There's people that we're not done. We just don't understand.
Well, I was reentry and reform just, are two different things, right? So reform is just, it's basically challenging the system and trying to correct it. That's what you do from the outside,
Okay.
really, with the lawmakers. Reentry is what prisons are supposed to present to the incarcerated population, but quite honestly, they don't.
Okay.
What happened where I was at, I think they figured out that their reentry programs that were designed to help individuals returning to society, they weren't working the way that they thought they should. And the reason is this: it's hard to teach somebody about alcohol, about how not to be an alcoholic if they never had a drink.
Come on now.
So what they did was they started to seek individuals such as myself and Freddie Williams, and other individuals, Leland Reed, to name a few, that they felt like had influence or could encourage guys to do positive things behind those walls. And at first, with the group, they started to bring their ideas to us and try to get us to help implement their ideas to do something positive while in prison. But I was always somebody that was quote unquote hard headed and challenged anybody anywhere, because I knew a lot of times the individuals I was having conversations with, they might have had a higher title in that environment, but I could go toe to toe with them, as far as conversation, as far as intellect. So I started challenging certain people, myself and another guy, in a way that it wasn't disrespectful, but it was saying, hey, let's try this. We got some ideas, and you guys can still, get some of the reward or the credit.
Wow.
So they gave us a platform, they gave us a title, and they gave us the ability to create programs while we were incarcerated to help our fellow brothers while we were incarcerated prior to them getting home. We were able to reach out, get different resources to come into the institution, help guys get jobs before they went home to prison or went home from prison, get them connected to halfway houses and other things. Some of this stuff was presented by the prisons, but a lot of it wasn't. It was all of our ideas.
So let me ask you this before you go on, because and I'm not trying to be funny when I say this, I see you being global with this. I see you expanding this across the whole entire United States based on your story. And I keep hearing you mention this, Mr. Williams. So I hear in my ear, in my spiritual ear, that this is a bigger picture and that you're going to grow. So I want to ask you this. Can you, because you're in Illinois, so are we talking about the things that you were able to do in Illinois, but are you expanding now into other states?
Yeah, so I'm in Atlanta.
That's right, Atlanta. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, it's okay. And I love the fact I'm in Atlanta. Atlanta is the new Black metropolis. Everybody comes to Atlanta, and Atlanta is a central hub of activity. So I love the fact I'm here. I'm able to connect with a lot of people, and I got a reach here. Just recently, because I was in the news, they did a story on me in the school, good report. I'm finally getting off papers, probation. So I'm able to travel now. Already connected. I just recently did a training with the ACLU in Virginia, the Commonwealth of Virginia, where I was incarcerated. I've done lecture for individuals for San Diego State University, and other places already. So the reach is there. And you touched on it. The goal is to go, first nationwide, and then hopefully global. We want to do something different. Nobody's having the conversations, I think, that's being had right now in a lot of ways. And I think what gives me leverage and a couple of the individuals that are with me, we've got good standing. We've got great standing in society, and we've got a position where we can sit at the head of the table. And even though we're in one place, we're now at a different place. So yeah, the goal is to give guidance, Whether it's to, like I said, the mother whose son is incarcerated, she doesn't necessarily have the funds to pay a lawyer, but hey, some guidance, some direction, just 20 minutes of phone conversation can ease some anxiety and some worry and at least send them a certain way. And then advancing it to a place where eventually we'll have legal teams, etc., that are actually, qualified, educated, and willing to fight for, people that need to be fought for.
So let me ask you this. Are you at a point, or is this something that will come later? If, let's say, somebody in our listening audience right now doesn't trust our cities or our states right now,
Mm-hmm.
is it possible for someone to reach out to you and your organization now and say, direct me for my state, or is that too broad at this point?
No, it's not necessarily too broad. What I do, because I do already have individuals and families reaching out to me from different states already.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, certain states I can kind of direct people to people, certain resources, but a lot of times I at least take a phone call, email, etc., and I'll give them a checklist and I'll say, hey, these are the things you need to do. These are the places you can go, places you can research at the bare minimum. And then also I educate people into things like, you have advocates that are out there. You have paid advocates, which I don't necessarily say, are the best necessarily. Some of them are, but you got advocates nonetheless that'll walk families through. I do walk certain families through from start to finish, depending on the situation. But again, I'm open, I'm available, but I don't think anybody can say that they can, point you in the right direction in in every state and in every
Right.
circumstance, because
Right.
it's situational. What we're trying to provide, first and foremost, is the foundation. A lot of times when families are or have somebody that's incarcerated, this is their first time, so they don't know. They don't even know how the jails work. They don't know how communication works. They don't know how to be prepared for visitation. We want to be able to provide counseling to the family members. One of the things my mother talks about is having a nervous breakdown when I got locked up. She talked. There was a period where she couldn't visit me because she couldn't take seeing me while I was incarcerated. So we want to be able to have those types of conversations with not just those that are incarcerated, but the family
Right.
members. A lot of times I spend more of my time coaching more than anything, taking phone calls from those that are incarcerated and their loved ones, especially during certain moments, and just basically helping them see their options clearer, more than anything. And because I never want to necessarily give direction, because that's
Right.
your life, that's your life.
Right.
Um,
But
but
you
yeah.
but you are definitely a person that is a listening ear, if you will. Um, you know, you can hear certain things, and
Because
like,
we've seen it.
I'm sorry.
Because we've seen it.
Exactly. You've
Unfortunately.
seen it.
Yeah.
So you can hear a mother crying out to you saying, my
Yeah.
son never did anything, and he slipped on a skateboard and broke
Yeah.
a window. What can I do? You can
Yeah.
hear those sounds of those conversations
All the
better
time.
than someone who, like myself, is just sitting here going, well, I don't know. Let me connect you with Christopher, because I don't know. But when you get the call, you know how to, your inner ear hears the conversation, and you hear the parent, or it may not even be a parent, it might be a good friend who hears the situation and they need to give some kind of help. You can hear those things, and I think that is what is going to be phenomenal. As you continue to broaden your expertise in this area. It's sad that we have to go through this level to be able to have parents and families know what to do once this happens. But it's also lets us know that we're not as good as we want to pretend that we're good in this world. We need help getting the right advice to our people.
Yeah.
So So now so those of you that are listening, we will be sharing Christopher's information as he gives us direction to. You probably won't see it on the show tonight because I'm trying to be more attentive to just listening to my guest, Christopher, because I'm a one-man show. So I like to get all my attention in, but we will be sharing as much information that Christopher will allow. I will tell you to go out there and search this brother out there on Facebook, search this brother on YouTube. I'm telling you, he is phenomenal. His program, his TV, his podcast, absolutely freaking amazing, man. You got it. You got my attention. Okay, I'm an old girl, but I'm sitting here looking, going, this is what our young folks need. This is what our older people need. Me as a grandma, this is what I need to hear in my head. Hopefully, I will never have to use it, but be able to know that there is somebody else out there, right? But I also want to be able to hear it, so when I do know somebody that needs it, I can say, look, reach out to Christopher. He can get you there. You know what I'm saying? And that's the reason why I'm glad that you agreed to say yes on tonight. So you've told us that you're available in a sense, if you will. I look for the what do you call it? The signs across the globe saying that your program is fully actionable all over the globe, right? I just feel that. That's the vibe I get with you. I'm just feeling that you are a global life changer, right? And so I look forward to continue to speak your name into the atmosphere. So now you've got us what happened from your journey, and then how while you were in there, you were able to help people prepare for some journeys while they were, making headway to get out. I want you to kind of talk to us now about, now I got out. Now you had a little bit of an edge because you started some programs and you knew some people that you can contact once you got out. But what about that male or that female that's locked up that doesn't have a Christopher in the cell next to them that can help them? What can you help us with outside?
I mean, I can literally, I don't want to say, I'm not here to tell a person what to do, but I can tell you what to do and what not to do. And I can tell you how not to go back to jail or prison. I don't ever want to portray for 1 second that it's been a perfect walk. I just recently told somebody year 3 for me was harder than year 1. I'm out here. I've got my struggles. I've lost a lot of buddies already that came home right before me or right after that are no longer here, to gun violence, drunk driving, drug addiction. I've lost a lot of buddies that went back to prison. And though there are a lot of us that don't go back, there are a lot of us that do. So for me, I can just tell you, like I said, don't go back to the old you. Don't be unaware. Be very cautious and conscious to your people, places, and things. If you're an adult, then you know what's good for you and what's bad. And as my grandma used to say, you're either walking towards the curse or the blessing. You can't go 2 ways at the same time. And you know where you're supposed to be and where you're not supposed to be. I've been out now for 3 years. I've been able to accomplish a lot because of my wife. Definitely, right here next to me. My mother, a great support circle. Not a lot of people. I tell people, man, keep your circle small. Make sure it's people that actually care about you, your freedom, your mental health, your peace of mind. And generally you'll be okay. Be patient. Don't try to catch up with what's going on in the world, because, man, what's going on in the world, that's not what's happening. I can tell you that,
Wow.
And I can go on and on. I'm ready to talk about, make the hard choices, make the abnormal. I can really go on and on, but man, I can tell you how not to go back to jail. I feel like, I can do that because I'm not going back. Yeah.
Do you want to share a couple of those pinpoints?
I mean, for one, I mean, I'm gonna say to the men first. Don't rush. But if you've got a strong woman in your corner, significant other, settle down. Don't run around. Don't get caught up by the hype. It's easy to. I live in Atlanta. It would be really easy for me to get caught up in the hype. But when I look at what's going on around me, The world's full of anxiety. It's stressful out there. I get up most mornings 3:30 in the morning, 6 days a week. I'm on my grind. What I need at the end of the day is peace of mind. So when you find that, you don't forfeit that. To my women that are coming home because of the conversations I have, don't run straight to the first man that's treating you good. Take your time, know your worth, be patient with yourself, because a lot of us, we lying. A lot of us out here, we gonna cheat on you. We gonna abuse you, if not physically, mentally. We gonna do you wrong. And that's me talking as a man of color, and apologizing at the same time. It is what it is. You have to take your time, because you get with the wrong one of us, you're going to end up right back. He's going to use you. He's going to manipulate you. He's going to do everything to you, because that's what's going on to our women right now. It's been going on for the longest. And to my youngins, man,
come on.
There's no reset button. Hey, I'm about to be 40. I still listen to Lil Durk. I still listen to G Herb, younger rap. I really don't like listening to the older rap. I just like listening to music that moves me. But I look at it like it's a movie and they're actors, man. If you get caught up in the hype in the drill music scene, if you get caught up in what I call the Call of Duty culture, and I play Call of Duty, all that. But if you forget that these aren't just video games and songs, and you put your life, in a situation because of something you feel motivated behind these video games, music, etc. If you're moved by getting clout on social media, being popular for the wrong things, you're going to end up being forgotten real quick in that casket or behind prison walls. I was a pretty popular guy prior to me being incarcerated. I had the ladies, had money, whatever it is. But guess what? When I got locked up, the only one that was in the courtroom with me was my mama. And matter of fact, when I got locked up, my mother told me she was glad I got locked up, because she was tired. Every time she heard those sirens, she didn't know if they were me or not.
Wow.
So to my youngins, there's no reset button. Prison ain't fly. And if you go in there, you're going to come out old. I went there at 19. I came out 36. I'm 39 now. I had hair, and none of this was great.
Wow. And see, I thought you just did that. I thought that was your.
No,
but all jokes aside, you're talking truth to us, because there's some of us that have never seen the inside, right? Other than looking at I don't know. Look, I'm a Chicago Fire, Chicago PD fan, so I'm gonna use it right there, right? Yeah. But we don't know anything about that, right? And so a lot of times, I think, just looking at the younger folks, because I'm 60, and I look at the younger little kids and stuff, and they're looking at these shows, and they're thinking how hype it is. Oh, I'm gonna talk back to the man or whatever. But then when you actually into it, it's not like that at all. And like you said, you went in looking a certain way, and then you came out being grown, if you will, and having to know that life is really life, and it's true to the deal. And so, I want to say to you, Christopher, again, I say thank you again for sharing. I thank you for being on the show. But I also want to ask you this. If there was, I want you to talk about how you transformed not only being an advocate, being a prisoner, but now being a prisoner's advocate. You talk to us about, how to stay out of the system, and how to not go back into the system, and what to do. There's some things that you can start doing while you're in the system to get ahead, right? Mm-hmm. So I want you to talk to that male or that female right now who has came home, and they came home and they went back, and then they came home again, but they're angry at the system to the point that they don't see how it's going to ever work for them. Does that make sense?
The system's not going to work for you.
Okay.
The
Talk
system
to
is
us.
not designed to work for you. And I think we have to realize that the system is not. It never was. And I keep specific. And I want to say this: the background of me, just for clarification, though I'm speaking to Black and brown people, I was adopted. My biological mother is a Caucasian woman by the name of Marsha Jean, and my biological father is African American. But I I just want to still speak to that point for this reason. The
Yeah.
system is designed to fail and destroy Black and brown people. Um, from the creation of it, when you looked at juries once slavery was abolished, we weren't allowed to be on the juries. We were put in courtrooms in front of people that were not our peers. So we were getting harsh sentences. These same things continue today. Um,
Wow.
so stop seeking relief and stop seeking to be healed from a system that's designed to injure you and destroy you, right? We've got to become better parents, household, in our households, in our communities. We've got to be better just connecting, becoming a tribe or a village again.
That's right.
And
That's right.
having back when the neighbors used to check on each other's kids and all that, we need to become more proactive and take accountability into our own hands and stop saying, please give us a solution. You need to fix this when they're trying to break us for a reason. Like, let's be
That's
clear. At,
it. That's
at
it.
some point, we've got to say, hey, we're going to do better, just as we're going to start with this generation and we're going to start building them up. And then I would say just we got to start looking at things different, and I just, to that point, man, the system is not designed. It's meant to tear apart families. It's meant to take time away from you. Over sentencing is a real thing. Mass incarceration is a real thing. And prison slavery is still a thing. They make millions of dollars off prisoners every year. That's why our incarceration rate is higher than anywhere in the world.
Wow.
It's, yeah. So I'm the guy that's saying, don't go, don't be that person. Don't look for the system to no.
Can I? I'm gonna say this to some, and I know some of my people out there gonna be like, "Girl, you better shut your mouth." Look, this is the thing. This is why I wanted you on the show, because you keeping it real. You are calling a spade, if you will. Because see, all of us get into this thing. Well, I'm gonna change the system. I'm gonna change the system. No, we got to change our mindset and make this thing change. It's not going to ever be the system that's going to change for us. Like you said, it's the system is what it is.
I mean, it can change. We need right thinking individuals, obviously, in certain positions. You know what I'm saying? But when I say that, it's just a lot of times I hear the family, or no, I hear the guy that's coming home saying the prison didn't do this for me, but you should have done this for you. And then don't use that as an excuse not to get it done for yourself now. And that's the point that I'm speaking to. Yes, we need individuals that are like us, as police officers and lawyers and judges and all this, but the before work, the accountability, the understanding your value, I had a situation in the school that was plain as day, to me as a principal, where a student has has gotten into an argument with multiple teachers. And I said, hey, you've got to know, even if it's not you, it looks like it's you. You've got to hold yourself accountable in the situation. You should. And I was just speaking to the point of, at some point, you got to know when to walk away or move differently or whatever it is for you not to keep running into that same situation. And that's us. We know the reality of the system. We know the reality and the horrors of it. Even if we don't, you should know that you don't want to go there. So we should be fighting every day to create a situation amongst our families, our people, our communities that's reminding people don't go to prison, don't pick up a gun. But we don't do that. We wait for lawmakers to do it, or we wait for them to correct it. And we can do that within our own backyards, our own streets.
That's it. So it's time for us to make the change before we even get to the situation.
Yeah.
We got to start. We got to be proactive, and we got to start get out of our boxes of complacency and it's not going to happen to me situations. Because
Yeah.
whether it's going to happen to
Yeah.
you or not, it's happening to somebody.
Yeah.
But we need to be proactive. And it does take a village to raise a child. It does. And we need to go back to those standards where, like you said, grandma, aunt, next door neighbor was making sure that the child was doing what they're supposed to do.
Yeah.
Or do, showing them the right way to do. And when we got away from that and we started letting society and systems take over raising our children versus us raising our children, that's when we started having these major problems. We stopped. Well, that's my viewpoint. That's just
no, but even with education, all that, that's right. That's right, though. You spot on. Accountability. Yeah. We let go. We became less accountable.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. It was easier to let somebody else raise our child than us raise our children.
Yeah.
It was easier for somebody to tell us it's time to let you give your child time out versus you knowing to give a spanking. We took on all of these things that we really didn't give our chances, our own selves, the opportunity to do the right thing. And now we're wondering, what can we do? Well, now you got to go back to the beginning. You got to go back to the beginning when you got to go dig into that root and figure out where it started from, and then change that mindset, and get to working on a different level. Mm-hmm. I know we're pushing for time, but I want to ask you just a couple more questions. Mm-hmm. And I can promise you right now, Christopher, you're going to be coming back on a part 2, because I want people, because more people, I got a couple of people that have been trying to get into the live tonight, and they've had problems getting into it. So I definitely want to bring you back to do a second part, and we'll probably get into some specifics that you can, give more information to, and we'll set that up, because you're just amazing to me. I tell your wife, I said, look, can you get me an older 62 plus man like your husband? Because he's sure no cool. I like him.
She gonna tell you you don't want one of them. She gonna tell you, because I would love to get up here and just talk about that, because relationships and marriage, that's my soldier though. Don't get it wrong, but we had a lot of stuff we had to learn, man. Growing pain.
You had to learn it. So I want to ask you a couple of questions, and then I'm trying to get us out of here as quickly as possible. I know you're busy, so how did you go from all of these things into you decided to be a principal and started working? Well, I know, part of it is to, help rear our children, but how was that going into that arena? What was that like for you?
I didn't want to be a principal. I'm in my life, I always end up being pushed to the front, but I'm the guy that wants to be in the back. A lot of people want to be, I don't know, the credit, and that's not me. I'm actually introverted, but I'm extroverted when I have to be. But anybody that knows me, I got about 6 people that really know what I'm thinking, and I'm always to myself. I don't really go out. If I'm not working or developing something, I'm with my wife or I'm with my dogs, and that's about it. Call my brothers on the phone. But I don't know. I don't know, man. I just want to. I don't want to veer off. I just want to say this real quick, right?
You got the floor, my friend.
Huh?
You got the floor. This is your show tonight.
Yeah, because this is what I thought, and I just want to encourage anybody, and I didn't know if you wanted, but I just want to say this to that point, right, about who I am versus and how I got to the principal. Right. I just want to encourage somebody really quick before I get there, man. Be yourself, and I just want to say that, you know what I'm saying? Be yourself. When I first came home, I wasn't comfortable being by myself. I'm in Atlanta, and I was kind of moving, and I wanted to go out in the night, and man, that wasn't me. You know what I'm saying? So I just wanted to say that, but I'm going to go back to the principal thing.
No, go ahead. That's good. That's good. That needed to be said, though.
So I don't want to go up, but just be yourself. But so who I am, I'm a quiet guy. I like the background. But my wife, she's old school. She's old school. She's grounded in the word. She trusted me, and the school was her idea. She was in cosmetology. She's an educator. She's been doing it since she was 11. She's amazing. She's a people person. She's a teacher. She's a teacher. A real teacher. Any real teachers, man, salute to the real teachers, those
Yeah.
who care about the students. So she already had people that were, connected to her. She's one of those people everywhere she goes, they're connected to her, right? Which is part of the reason I connected to her, because I seen somebody for the first time. For me, I seen another leader, somebody with vision. I seen somebody that was able to teach me some things, which I'm the type of guy, you have to, you gotta mentally, I have to be stimulated. So my wife's vision was to have the school. While incarcerated, I ended up getting my barber license, because I was trying to, impress her, right?
Oh.
Right. I don't cut hair now. I cut once in a while. I cut the baby's hair, little kids and stuff like that. But prior to me coming home, we would talk about things we wanted to do. We had started a business even before I came home. It didn't necessarily succeed, but it was a small t-shirt business. But we did it together. Because she just wanted to show me, like, hey, this is the type of marriage we're gonna have. Blah, blah, blah. And I remember just telling her, I was like, man, when I come home, I'm gonna get you to school. And it took about 2 years. I had different jobs. I was a garbage man through the pandemic, but getting paid as the garbage man during the pandemic.
Hello.
Yeah, I started selling food on the corner, Chicago style food, and it ended up hustling with a business partner, getting a food truck and flipping food trucks and just grinding, making the right decisions. She, as most marriages, a lot of times old school, man make the money, women, the woman pay the bills, and I can't pay the light bill. Never even tried to learn how to pay the light bill. She does that. But we work together, you know what I'm saying? We continue to work together. And eventually we made the right moves and we got to school. And she was like, hey, you lead our household, you're gonna lead the school. You're gonna be the principal. So here I am, after doing 16 years, 11 months, married, came home to a pandemic. Now I'm gonna be a principal. And I'm looking at my wife and I'm like, I don't think this is the right thing to do because, one, I'm a man. I got tattoos everywhere. I'm a pretty big guy. It's not like I don't necessarily stick out. I'm not the biggest guy, but, and I'm an ex-felon. And I'm kind of nervous. And she was like, well, everybody's got tattoos and everybody knows somebody that was locked up. So when it gets out, it's going to be okay. And
wow.
Yeah. So, I mean, it was a rock. Man, me and her, we got that thing up, this school up from the ground up and going through certain things and her pushing me. Cause like I said, I mentioned that introvert part for a reason, she really is a help. I don't like, she really is a help me, and
Wow.
yeah. So the new CBS 46 came and did a channel or did a story and they wanted to just do it on me. And I was like, no, you gotta talk to my wife because the school was her vision. It just happens to be that I'm the principal or the executive director. But yeah, that's just because she deferred.
So that goes back to what you said early on about having a good support system. And again, when I look now, so you're gonna really make me look at y'all's picture with these big teary eyes because I noticed I think it was one of the videos with the graduation how I think y'all kind of did a little spin and y'all were back to each other.
Yeah,
but when I saw that picture, you guys were like glycerin, like this is the first time I've ever saw him, and y'all, but you were celebrating together.
Man,
you were celebrating your business. You were celebrating the graduates, but for me, just reading some of the things from the behind the scenes, I saw so much more. I saw that strength that you each gave each other, how you both were pushing each other. I'm an introvert, extrovert too, so I know what you're talking about. Because doing podcasts, and nobody would believe it, but that's the truth. I'd rather somebody else be doing this, but I just get in. It's easy when you have somebody that that's going to push you and push you in the right way and support you. And you've shown that tonight that good support systems grow other good support systems. You know, you plant the seed of good support by supporting those people behind the bars and as they're coming out behind the bars. You planting that seed of support. That's who you are. You planted that seed of support, and you have the great support system with your mom and your wife. And that's amazing that because there's some people out here that don't have that. And for people to be able to see that in you tonight is such a blessing. And I can't wait to have the missus on the show with us next time, because I know that there's a different, there's a part of the story that she will help other people support their loved ones that are behind prison bars, either by mishap or mistake. But at the end of the day, they have that support. And again, I thank you for coming on the show tonight, Christopher. It has been, I've had a couple of weeks where people were supposed to be on the show, and due to sicknesses or whatever, we couldn't, the show had to be canceled or whatever. But I'm telling you, tonight I was like, you know what? If I got to put toothpicks in my eyes, I'm going to talk to this dude tonight, because that's how excited I am about what you're doing and how you're enlightening me. Because see, you're embracing me and empowering me to educate, to know more about this whole system that I haven't had to experience it, but I know people that have, and I didn't know what to say.
And the scary thing is, oh yeah, it went out. I don't know if you can hear me. Oh,
I see you.
Yeah, and I didn't mean to cut you off, but
No,
the scary thing is when I hear people say they never had to deal with it before, unfortunately, the chances is you're probably going to have to, either directly or indirect. At some point, hopefully not somebody directly connected to you, but it's going to be a neighbor's child. It's going to be a co-worker's, it's going to hit close to home, and then it's going to wait. And you just want to be on point. Exactly. Because we got to understand, as Black and brown people in 2023, again, we're not talking about conspiracies and all that. We're just talking about actual statistics. When we look at the percentages of people that are incarcerated versus those that aren't, when we look at the whys, when we look at environmental traumas, when we look at all of these things, it's just time for us to move differently. It's time for us to be alert. It's time for us to start having tough conversations early. You might have to talk to your kid about prison at 7 or 8 nowadays, because we just had a 6-year-old that shot a teacher.
Yeah.
You might have to have tough conversation. It's better to have a tough conversation with a child than to have a tough conversation with a young man sitting in prison doing 19 years. I can tell you that.
Wow.
So yeah, it's time to get educated. It's time to wake up. It's time to stop walking with our heads in the clouds. We got to move.
Amen. Well, Christopher, this has been the most. I try to keep the show to an hour, but when it gets like this, I don't even look at the clock. I try not to look at the clock, because I'm like, you're just giving so much tonight. You gave 16 years of your life to come out and be the best, and showing us that greater is in front of us, and for our children and those that are behind the prison bars and those that are coming forth out of the prisons. I just want to say again, thank you to what you're doing. I want to forever encourage you to keep on keeping on, which I know you're gonna do that anyway, bro. But I just want to encourage you, because like you said, there's gonna come a time that I might have to have this conversation. But guess what I'm gonna do, Christopher? Boy, can you talk?
And I tell everybody, and I'm grateful. There's an outpouring of, my messenger and IG, Facebook, even on TikTok. I've had a couple people got mad because I just didn't respond fast enough. But the problem is there's an influx of people reaching out. I do respond to everybody, though. You just might have to be patient.
Hey, I waited until you were so quick that I was almost shocked. I'm like, oh my God, he really responded to me. I mean, because, and I don't want to say this I'm not saying this in a disrespectful way, but to me, you're a superstar. And I'm like, oh my God, he responded. Oh yay. Now I can see if it come on the show. It was amazing. It might have not been the next day, but it was maybe a couple of days later. You did respond to me. And,
Yeah.
and then that gave me time even more to read behind the things that you were posting and the things that you were saying, and even your story. And like I said, your podcast, all of that, gave me more, of an insight in looking at what you were doing and who you really were. And the one thing I can say that I definitely want people to know that are watching right now, what you see and what you hear out of this man right now, this young guy right now, is what I've heard from the beginning. You have not swayed one way or the other. You've been consistent. Okay, see, stop messing with me. You've been consistent in this journey and sharing with us. You've been consistent. You may have had your moments, and I don't know. I couldn't see that, but you have been consistent in making sure that we understood, that you shared, and you gave us some insight, and you gave us more hope that we can do something different. And so for your consistency, I am thankful. I am thankful. Did you have to pull 16 years for me to be thankful? But man, I'm telling you, from hearing you makes something so much clearer, and so much, it gives more hope that I know there's somebody out there like you that's helping us push.
Thank you,
my friend. But you will be coming back on the show. We're gonna get together. We're gonna, set another date, because I want you to come back for part 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8, 9, 10, 199 times. Come back on this show, because I just believe in connecting people with the right people who have the right intentions and being consistent in it. And that's who you are to me. To those of you that have been watching tonight, we're going to make sure that you have Christopher's information. Please follow him on his podcast. I'm going to be sharing his podcast connection so that you can get out there and listen to this guy. He is the biz on bomb. He has got it. He's got it like that. Okay, I'm going to say this. I can't believe I'm going to say this. Shamar Moore, I'm sorry, move over. Christopher Willars is in the house. You're my superhero now. So I Sean, it's okay. He'll be all right. He'll be all right. But I appreciate you, my friend. If there's one thing that you want to leave with our listening audience tonight, what would it be?
First and foremost, I just say you can follow me on IG at the_100_TV, or you can look me up on TikTok, D100TV, YouTube, D100TV, or Facebook, D100TV. And I interact, I reach out, I respond. You'll see different content. You'll see communities where there's a chat up. You just see different things on mental health, incarceration. As far as my YouTube, my live streams, you'll see different advocates, different people that are freedom fighters. You'll see people like Santia Nance, people like Sincere Bell speaking about second chance laws, general assemblies, things of this nature. And that's what it is to people overall. Anybody that's hearing this, listening to this, don't think that a situation won't affect you until it already has. We have to become more proactive, not just with the problem of incarceration, but mental health, not just with, these specific problems, but anything that's plaguing our people, our families, our communities. And a challenging thought that I've been sending out to a couple of the brothers I spoke to from behind the wall is a simple statement. And that's: the projects don't have to be dirty.
Wow. Wow, Christopher, I'm super excited. Please forgive me. I told you we got this delay going on. I'm trying to put your information into the chat. But for those of you who are watching, I will get that information. You will see it posted not only here on YouTube, but you will also see it posted on Facebook Live. And you will also see it on our LinkedIn channel of Victoria Elevates. We're going to keep pushing this brother out there to everybody in the world, in the global. We want to be universal. Christopher Willars is out there to help us, and we want y'all to rock with this brother on his podcast. I want y'all to be able to watch his podcast. I want you to hear what he has to say. His Instagram. I looked at one of the TikToks. I just got to be honest with you. I caught it at a glimpse. I missed it. I was like, oh my God, that's my bro right there, and I still missed it. So I got to go back out there and find you. But I follow you. I've been
crazy. It gets crazy on TikTok, but it's real thoughts. We go places other people don't want to go, and we've got videos that are nearing 750,000 views, and so people are responding to the so-called hard conversation. So
yes. Well, we're going to keep on pushing you out there, my friend. I want you to be at 1 million and 5 billion and 6 billions and 10 billions, 100 and million billions of followers that can not only listen to you, but reach out to pour into your program and be able to connect and help get you and your dreams and your vision out there even the more. You have been a phenomenal guest on tonight. I am so honored. My superstar is here. I'm so honored that you said yes to me. And I will be in contact with you to bring you back on the show for part 2. And so the missus can come. I want to say hello to her in person. So we want to bring you both back on the show. Christopher, keep doing what you're doing. Keep doing what you're doing. If there's anything that Victoria Elevates can do to help your program, please let us know. We may not have millions of dollars, but one thing we do have is we have a whole big mouth that we don't merit shine, because we are uncensored conversation with Elevated Not Tolerated. Christopher, thank you to all of you that are watching, that have been with us throughout the evening. We thank you so much. We apologize for the delays in the systems that have been kicking in, but we want you to come back and be with us on part 2. It's going to be sooner than you think. Ginger, Regina, Vanessa, all of you that have been watching, we appreciate you so much. And again, my friend, thank you so much for being with me. We wish you Godspeed.
Thank you. All right.
All right. Good night, everybody. And this next week, we're coming back with another segment of Uncensored Conversation with Elevated Not Tolerated. My guest will be the phenomenal Jamila Ross will be in the house. She may even give us a song. I don't know. You just got to come back and watch. And we will be replaying this video for the next few days, so you don't want to miss it. Check us out on YouTube as well as Facebook Live. We'll see you next time. Christopher, we're going to be in touch this week.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Love you, my brother.
Love you too. Peace.
All right. Peace.